So later this year in October, a new Street Fighter film will come out, creatively named Street Fighter, and it releases, I believe, October 13th. This was the second film that we've had of Street Fighter, at least released in an official capacity. And I have some pretty interesting thoughts about the trailer and at least what I expect to occur in the film. I think somehow the best part of the film will be 50 Cent when he plays Balrog or Boxer. I think he'll be the best part of the film. I also expect Dan to win by just a complete fluke, like would be canon, I guess. I mean, Dan has more wins than anybody just by complete chance. Dan isn't very skilled, especially compared to the rest of the fighters. I have a feeling somehow that Ryu and Ken will exchange some really silly line like, huh, so you're a street fighter, huh? Or something really silly like that. I do think the film is going to lean into silly territory. It's not going to take itself too seriously, which might actually work out for the best. It'll be kind of like the 90s films where it's a little bit silly. And one thing I noticed, Cammy has her Killer Bee outfit in the film. So it's kind of a weird blend of Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter Alpha. I've heard some people talk about the Harley Quinnification of Cammy, which seems to be quite a silly concept, and I think it's quite funny. But I do think that they're going to go the evil Cammy controlled by the Shadaloo route. Because in Alpha, or Zero in Japan is what the game's called, Cammy is a villain. She's mind controlled by the Shadaloo to be like a lethal assassin. They call her the Killer Bee. And that really cool like baby blue outfit that she wears is her Killer Bee outfit, which she does have in the film. And you do see Cammy wielding a rocket launcher and basically blowing up a van. I do think she and Chun-Li will have some sort of a rivalry in the film, or like a conflict of some sort. Maybe Chun-Li wants to take down the Shadaloo and Cammy's kind of preventing her from doing it or whatever. But I do think that they'll have like evil Cammy who breaks away from the Shadaloo, because by the time of Street Fighter 2, Cammy, her mind control had broken away and she began to fight against the Shadaloo, effectively becoming a hero. But I do think it's interesting that they're, as I said, combining like Alpha and 2 together. But if they just remove the whole mind control thing and just make Cammy a character just crazy just for the sake of it, kind of like Harley Quinn and Suicide Squad, I do think that would really hurt the film and especially the public perception of Cammy. Because let's be real here, as popular as Street Fighter is, this game is usually just played by nerds. The general public really does not care about fighting games, and maybe that's for the better, I really don't know. Because it's always been kind of a niche thing. But I do imagine that the Street Fighter film will be consumed mostly by fans of fighting games and people who just want to show up and make fun of it. But I do imagine that a lot of people who don't really care for fighting games are going to see it. And when they see Cammy just being like, oh, I'm so crazy, I do think that'll just kind of hurt the character a bit. But maybe we're just being a little cautious. But I do think that they're going to go the whole Shadaloo mind control, she breaks free kind of route. I mean, Cammy has yielded a rocket launcher. I was about to say, I don't think she's ever had a rocket launcher before, but just not in the official games. I'm sure there's been one or two, like, non-canon things in which she's wielded a rocket launcher. She's really, really showing off, like, the Anna Williams with that rocket launcher, but I think Cammy will be alright in this film. Casting, it seems like they're just trying to get more so celebrities and popular people. Like, Guile is played by Cody Rhodes, the WWE world champion, or at least former. Cody Rhodes, well, actually, he defeated Randy Orton at WrestleMania, so he's still the champion. Cody Rhodes is a dude I've known for a very, very long time, since I was 8 years old. And if you ask me, who's a good actor to play Guile? I don't think I would have said Cody Rhodes, but I get it. He's like a professional wrestler, which Guile isn't, but whatever. He's like, you know, he's got an American flag tattoo on his neck, which looks really awful, but whatever. Cody likes it, so it's cool. All joking aside, I do think Guile, or rather Cody, is an interesting choice as Guile. I don't think I would have went with Roman Reigns as Akuma, or Goki if you live in Japan. But, you know, I think Cody Rhodes he's an alright choice for Guile. Now, I do expect him to say Sonic Boom instead of Sonic Boom, because Cody has a bit of a lisp, you know. As I mentioned, Cody is one of my favorite wrestlers. I think he's cool. I loved him when I was a kid. I used to religiously follow the Dashing Cody Rhodes, How to Be Dashing tips that they used to air on SmackDown. I used to follow that religiously when I was a kid. But I loved Stardust, too. What a great gimmick he had. I mean, I love Stardust. I'm getting sidetracked. I do think he's interesting as Cody, or rather Cody's interesting as Guile. I don't know about Roman as Akuma. I don't know. I mean, I think he'll do decently, like, because Akuma is just like, oh, I'm very power hungry, I'm very greedy, and Roman tends to be a good heel, so maybe it'll work. Not necessarily to put wrestling psychology into a Street Fighter movie, but the rest of the casting is all right. I mean, I think Eric Andre is an interesting choice, which definitely leads me to believe that they're going more so comedy, show up for an hour and a half and just kind of laugh at the Street Fighter characters. But as I mentioned, I think I would prefer for it to be a little bit absurd, over the top, and silly, as opposed to being very dark, gritty, and serious. Because I just think inherently Street Fighter is kind of goofy as it is. I mean, look at Blanca. Blanca's a silly character. I mean, look at half the other rod. Look at El Fuerte. Look at Hakan in Street Fighter 4. Those are pretty silly characters. But I noticed 50 Cent plays Balrog or Boxer or M. Bison, depending on where you are. Boxer is a more general term. I do think 50 Cent's pretty interesting as Balrog. I don't know if I would have like imagined 50 Cent as Balrog. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the choice. I think it's interesting. But I somehow think he'll be the best part of the film. I think he'll be the most entertaining character. We've got Dictator, Boxer, and Claw, or Bison, Vega, Balrog. But there's no Sagat. I think that's so interesting that there's no Sagat. Sagat is one of the OGs. He was literally like in the first game. Sagat, he's like the OG of the OGs. Him, Ryu, and Ken are like, and like Adon, I think, and like a dude named Joe. They are like the OGs. They were in the original game, the one that sucks and nobody ever played because it sucks. Of course, Sagat appeared in Street Fighter 2 originally as a boss character and then as a playable character. And I believe it was Hyper Fighting, or maybe it was, I can't remember. What was the second version called? Because there was the new Challengers, which was the fourth. It was either like Hyper Fighting or Champion Edition. I think Champion Edition was second because Bison's crazy in that game. And then the third was Hyper Fighting. But either way, Sagat was a sub-boss first, and then in later versions of Street Fighter 2, he showed up as a playable character. Infamously, he's like the top tier in Super Turbo, at least among the characters that are not banned, like Akuma. So, I don't know. I think Sagat's one of the coolest characters in the entire franchise, and it's a bit strange to me that they just say, nah, no Sagat, we'll leave him out for later. Unless there's a big teaser with Sagat or something. I do imagine that there might be some sort of a post-credit scene in which they tease a potential sequel. I don't know. It seems like they're doing Alpha/Street Fighter 2, so maybe they'll have like something about 4 or 3. Like, not to say that there's continuity in Street Fighter, because continuity is far and few between. But I imagine that there will be some sort of a post-credit scene that teases a sequel of some sort. I 100% expect there to be a clashing fireball, like Ryu and Akuma or Akuma Ken, whoever it is. They throw two fireballs at the same time and they clash. I expect there to be some sort of a sweep, the basic usual stuff. They've done like Tatsus and DPs in the trailer, so they're doing some of the moves. So we're gonna see like a spiral arrow, but I 100% expect there to be clashing fireballs. And then maybe like a sweep beating a sweep, like in Street Fighter 4. I also 100% feel like they're going to do some sort of a reference to Daigo parrying Justin Wong. They're going to do some sort of a reference to it. Not only is it the most iconic Street Fighter moment ever, it's the most iconic moment in FGC history ever. I mean, Moment 37 at EVO 2004 was a huge deal when it happened. And it sort of led to a resurgence in fighting games. So 100% they're going to have some sort of a reference where Chun-Li is going to go for her big super and it gets parried by probably Ken, most likely, if they want to be accurate. So much to the dismay of Justin Wong, legendary FGC players, both Daigo and Justin are absolute legends in the FGC. They're going to have some sort of a reference to it. I mean, it would be a huge shame if they didn't. Because I imagine whoever is directing or writing the film, they've got some knowledge about the franchise. They at least know about Killer Bee Cammy being evil. I mean, there's some base knowledge. I've always thought it's a good idea to get people who actually care about the projects and not just somebody who's like, oh, this game's popular, cool, whatever. Like the Amazon Like a Dragon series, which I really wasn't a big fan of. Okay, a couple of other things I think are going to happen, but pretty quickly. I think there's going to be a sound effect from the game. Like, there's going to be perfect from like Street Fighter 2 or something like that. I also think they're going to have a reference to one of the minigames, maybe parry the basketballs from Third Strike, or maybe destroying barrels or something. They're probably going to play music from the 80s or maybe early 90s because they want to cash in on nostalgia, stuff like that, especially because Street Fighter 2 was very popular in the early to mid 90s. I also think that somebody's going to throw a fireball and they're going to think, wow, how'd I do that? That's crazy. I think that they'll also have one actor who just does not care and doesn't want to be there and just showed up to collect the paycheck. Probably Dan. I also think that they'll have some reference that is incredibly out of date and only those nerds are going to actually understand it. And I do think that at one point they're going to have this really epic music playing, like really cinematic orchestral stuff, like Ennio Morricone composed it or John Williams, and it's just going to be like Chun-Li throwing the Kikoken. It's going to be like something lame like that. I also think there's going to be some sort of a shot of Cammy hitting her victory pose, so just so they can have her ass on the screen and have it not be weird. I also think Akuma is going to hit like a raging demon, and then he's going to turn his back and he's going to hit like his victory pose after a raging demon, which would usually be boss, and then you're going to remember that it's Roman Reigns, and you're going to think, no, that's the tribal chief, right? I also think they're going to have one moment where it's like, wow, that one character did that one thing. Isn't that cool? Like, they're going to have like a fence or like a gate of some sort drop down from the screen, and Vega's going to like climb across it and then jump off and go, yow, or something like that. Kind of like the video games. And nobody's going to question why this gate just dropped out of the sky, or a fence, I guess. That's also probably going to happen. And I imagine Balrog is going to wallop the hell out of somebody just for the fun of it, like his super. But do I have low expectations? Yes. I just hope that, it's a film that's at least fun and entertaining. I don't have high expectations, but I guess we'll find out come October exactly how the Street Fighter film is. So, yeah, we await your return, Warrior.